Know and don't tell. A spiritual principle. I've mentioned from time to time that the Lord would tell me things and say, don't tell anyone. Even this principle. I'm very hesitant to bringing this out because there's a thin line between telling and knowing and not tell. I remember one time mentioning this in a commentary of another one's YouTube video. And they attacked me for that. Where's that in the Bible? Well, let me get that text. Psalm chapter 5 verse 15. Now hear what it says. Drink water from your own cistern, well. Running water from your own well. Out of your inner being will flow rivers of living water. Do you just let it flow? Independent from God? Should your springs overflow in the streets? Your streams of water in the public squares? It's a question. Let them be yours alone, never to be shared with strangers. So, there's the principle. Accept it or reject it. There's times God will tell you, don't tell. Well, let's look at another text. Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs. Do cast ye your pearls before swine, dogs and swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn around and rent you. I mean, you'll learn that the hard way. I've always learned that the hard way. Who are the Gentile dogs and who are the swine? They give the appearance of being religious, having a divided hoof. I've manifested that in other videos. Well, what did Jesus mean by this, dogs and swines? Get in my Narrow Road series, I got it out there. Dogs to the left and swines to the right. The second religious well, you got to stay on the narrow road. Now going left to the right. Dogs on the left and swine on the right. Listen to that video and I go into detail explain what this expression by Jesus meant by dogs and swine. Now at other times, there are times that God will call you to say things. Here's an example, another example. Mark chapter 8 verse 26. And he sent away a guy who was blind. He healed him. And he sent him away to his house, saying, neither go into town, nor tell to any in the town. Went back to his own house. Keep it between you, the Lord, and myself, and those in your family. Read on, Luke 5:14. And he charged him to tell no man, but go and show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing, according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. They kept saying he was violating the law of Moses. Here he wasn't. Tell no man. My God, what are you telling the priest? Caiaphas, the high priest? You know, it gets confusing, but it's not confusing. Understand, the things that Jesus did or said wasn't him saying or doing it. He would say what the Father said to say, and to do what he had to say to do, and to say it or not say it, and then question it. Why would you have me say that? Why don't you want me to tell them? Go off and find out. There's times to know, not tell, times to tell. Independent from God, you're not going to know, and you'll learn. We learn by the mistakes. If you get the impression with God, don't tell nobody. Keep that between you and I. Keep it in your own well. You'd ask for some living waters, a question to a problem you have, or a situation in your life. God gives you some beautiful answer. It's amazing. You never heard it. God, you bubble over. You want to share with everybody. He said, don't tell everybody. You'll regret it. You're going out amongst those who are dogs and swine. You don't understand why dogs and swine. But other times, here he is sharing things to the priests. My God, they were just considered a swine. God has his reason for doing what he wants to say and do. And we secretly have our secret agenda to make myself look like I'm one up. I'm more spiritual than you. I've done that. Now God from time to time would have me, I'm reading a comment in a commentary, or he gives me a thought, and I'll sit there and type it up, it's beautiful, and I'll go to post it either as an email or put it in a commentary somewhere, and he says, save it. Put it in draft. So I do. Then I'm going down the road weeks, days, months, years, whatever. And you'll say, remember that? Post it now. Reply to that comment. Use that which I gave you. It's a word in season. Whether they get it or not, I don't go there with some expectation they're going to understand it. Sometimes they take offense, and then I realize it ain't my words. I wasn't thinking of you when I wrote this out. I wasn't thinking of anybody. God gave me it. It was beautiful. I typed out, and he says, save it in draft. Wait until the time that I tell you to share it. Give you things in advance. Now understand, there are those who can mimic what I just said. So I'm going to start getting things that I'm claiming is coming from God. I'm going to save it in draft. And when I give it out, that's the word of God to me. Don't mimic this. Now you can go ahead, you'll find out. First of all, it might not have been from God. It might have been your concocted idea. And you giving that when you wanted to give it out. Independent from God. That's possible. So I hesitate. Usually when I do that, I'll have stuff sitting in draft. I know someone that had I got over 100 things in draft. I'm holding it. Why? Then what I usually have made one or two things in draft. I don't sit there and sit on everything. You misunderstand. You can take a spiritual principle and destroy it. Let God tell you about these things. Come to understand his voice, and you'll understand when he says, don't share, not now. Or he may never have you share these things. It's kept personal between you and I, Father will say. Not that there's some kind of secret society, right? Or I'm one up on somebody more spiritual because I got secret things between God and Father. I'm special. Come on, you misunderstand the whole point here. So here's another text that comes up along the same subject matter about the spiritual principle. Mark 5:19. Howbeit Jesus suffered him not. Told him don't do it. But said unto him, go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord had done for thee, and have compassion on you. He knows his friends. He knows his family. He knows who he's going to go to. And he says then, well, you can go to your family and friends that really know you. Don't take it out there on the street. You'll find out if you do. But I know there's times I wouldn't want to share some things to my family. I'm not saying that as a judgment against them. There's things that I know where they're at. And they know where I am at. And all they know me is Paul Woodward, Earl Woodward, the carpenter's son. They can't hear it through me. I understand that. Jesus had the same situation. As a son of man, they thought him to be Joseph the carpenter's son. And for many of them, they couldn't hear a word he had to say. It's a shame. They couldn't get past seeing him as, oh, I know his brothers and sisters, and I know his mom. And we knew his dad. They thought him as his dad. They knew what he wasn't his real dad. He was virgin born. They don't understand that. She knew that. Mary pondered it. Joseph pondered it. They didn't bring it up. They found out. And his brothers and sisters find out that. They didn't know. I want you to know, talking to the brothers and sisters of Jesus, and Mary saying to them, your brother was virgin born. You weren't. You came by natural means. God supernaturally raised your brother up. How do you think they would have felt? Oh, your mommy's favorite. You're missing the point. I don't believe she ever shared that with him. They learned it later through the Holy Spirit, quickening and revealing the mystery that was hidden in all of us. The mind of Christ in you would reveal to you. Apart from the Spirit, uniting your human spirit with the mind of Christ, you can't say Jesus is Lord. That's scriptural. Ain't just because you read out some book, some theologian says Jesus was Lord. That's called gnosko, general knowledge. Anybody can quote a book. But when you get the epignosko experience of this, you can really say, Jesus Christ is Lord. And you know it. You have an intimate relationship with it. The word in the Hebrew is yadah. And in the Greek is epignosko. It says that Adam knew his way, yadah. I mean, that's, without twisting it, sounding sick, it's a deep, intimate relationship with God the Father. You as the bride and Jesus as the groom. Intimate relationship with bride and groom, Father and Son, the sons of God. I mean, yadah. Let me just pause here, see if I want to share any more. I hesitate sharing any more, because without a doubt, people mean well. I'm not trying to judge you for this. I've done it myself. I've heard about these things in the past from others who understood these things long before I did. And you mimic it, because I want to know this too. Let it be real. Let the Father bring you this. Learn to hear His voice. And when He says to you, don't tell, at least you know that it is a spiritual principle. You're not trying to hide anything. He's trying to protect you. You go out there, share that to the wrong people in the wrong place, you will pay a price. But thank God for His mercy and grace and the ability to work that stupidity on our part to a good. He'll work it to a good. But at some point you'll learn. You don't speak unless He said speak. And then it ain't your words. And when He says do, you do, but it ain't your doing, it's Him. He gives the desire and ability and power to perform that which He would desires to speak to you. What would you want to say and do to this vessel today, Father? Then you wait without any interfering thoughts and just go about your everyday life. At some point, He'll draw you somewhere. And when you get there, He'll say this. And you'll say it. Do this. And you do it. Now, you don't go there with expectation whether they're going to drop to their knees, they're going to hear the voice of God to Paul Woodward. You're missing the point. Ain't you? And you got to watch that, because some people just claim everything they get from God. Everything I get is not from God. I don't like those moments, because it's like the saying Jude says, they're having their garments, hating the garments spotted with the flesh. There's times I know, I did that with a lot of my videos in the past. Some of my early videos or writings and the cassette tapes I used to put out, I said, well, God, I wish I had never put them out. He said, don't worry about it. I'll work it to a good. He does. That's the beauty of it all. But at some point, in maturity, the Father will deal with you differently than He did in the early days when I first believed. I didn't know. The days of ignorance will pass. And He'll start dealing with you as matured sons differently. There's things I used to get away with. I don't get away with anymore. I start acting independent of Him. Holy Spirit's right there to prick my conscience, renewed conscience. Get in my serious about the conscience and the subconscious mind. That old evil conscience compared to the renewed conscience. The renewed conscience is when you act independent from God, Holy Spirit will stop you. You could be doing something good. He'll say to you, why are you doing that? Did I tell you? Well, no, I really want to help this guy. You're not helping. You're helping me out of your own need help. You want some kind of attention or something. Wait. And days, weeks down the road, He may have me go back to that same person and not with something prepared by your thoughts and ideas. I'm going to help correct this brother, or I'm going to save him. You ain't saving him. You ain't going to correct him. The words that you speak, you want them to be spirit and you want them to be life. Not quoting some dead letter that only kills them but also kills you. You don't know. It's a two-edged sword. Cuts both ways. Don't want to judge. You don't want to condone. You want to understand. Independent from him, we can do nothing. Now, you want to find out? Keep trying. Keep doing it. Oh, I mean, there's more to this. I hesitate sharing any more because then you get into going beyond the other things you told me don't share. I mean, is it private? No. The same mind of Christ that's in me will tell you. There's nothing that I don't know that you can't know. It's in you. I'm not hiding nothing from you. It's the time to give out the word in season. Right now, this is enough. So that's the end of this short little video. God bless you.